Hey, if you like my videos, you might also like my comedy series, YouTube Blue, which premieres every Saturday on the YouTube Blue YouTube channel. Go check out the link in the description and the card above to watch the latest episode. Now on with the video. Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. So, it's finally here, Power Rangers Dino Fury. And here we are with episode 1, Destination Dinohenge, which, I gotta say, Beast Morphers was a really great show, so they had a lot to live up for there, but I think they knocked it out of the park generally. There are a few things that I'll get to, but generally it's really great all around, and especially this was kind of a new era for the show in a way, because, first of all, this was the first fully Hasbro created show in that, like, Saban kind of did some pre-production on Beast Morphers. But second of all, there was a lot of new crew brought in. I want to say about 75% of the crew on Dino Fury is new, as in they replaced about 75% of the crew from Beast Morphers. And that includes getting a new showrunner in Simon Bennett, who's previously directed episodes of Ninja Steel and Beast Morphers, but now he's the new showrunner, though, and he's replacing Chip Lynn, who's a legendary Power Rangers showrunner. He's been part of the show since the beginning, back in MMPR, as a production manager, then as a writer. Then in Turbo, he became head writer for like the back half of the season, but he didn't really shine through until In Space. Then he left after Time Force. He did some writing for Jungle Fury, came back as showrunner second half of RPM, and then he came back as showrunner again in Dino Charge, and this is the first season since Dino Charge that Chip Lynn hasn't been in charge. Though he still is a part of the show, he's an executive producer, and he apparently, from what I've seen, he came up with a lot of the story stuff for the season. But Simon Bennett, who's also an executive producer, is the showrunner of the show. So in this episode, we actually only get introduced to the first 3 Rangers, which we kind of already knew. We knew they were going to kind of do a slower build up to the team, almost kind of Ninja Storm-esque, I suppose you could say. And honestly, I really like that. You know, it's only 22 minutes. They had a lot to cram in there, so only doing 3 Rangers was great. I also honestly really like the color combination of red, blue, and pink, and I kind of hope that at some point, though, at this point, like, both Power Rangers and Super Sentai are so toy-based that, like, I really doubt we're going to have, like, a core 3, maybe expand to 5 Rangers or 6 Rangers anytime soon anymore, because it's just so toy-based that they'd be like, nah, we need the extra action figures and Zords, So yeah, but I really hope that at some point in the future we can get red, blue, and pink. I'm almost disappointed now that neither Lupin Ranger or Pato Ranger were red, blue, and pink. But you know, at some point in the future, whether Hasbro continues with Super Sentai or not, I'm hoping that we get that combination again. So the episode starts out from Amelia's point of view. Amelia, played by Hunter Dano, the Pink Ranger. So she is a reporter, which is really interesting. So all the characters are out of high school now. There were people thinking that they were going to go back to high school, because in audition sides for the show they were in high school, but I think I saw on Twitter Simon Bennett said that was actually a deliberate red herring to lead people off the trail, that they deliberately put in the sides that they were in high school so people would think that, and they could surprise them later, which is kind of cool that they put that much thought into it. So this is something that's kind of weird. Apparently she's big into ghosts, and like discovering ghosts are real and all that kind of stuff. And honestly, it does feel kind of weird and out of left field. Like, it doesn't quite fit into everything else in the episode. I do trust the Power Rangers writers enough to just kind of assume that throughout the season that will like make sense and will like fit and won't just be like this weird other subplot that they're doing. Maybe if I watch Ryu Soldier, it would make even more sense. But yeah, so there's the ghost thing. And okay, here's something else. So with Simon Bennett as showrunner, and I don't think it's specifically because of that. I think it's because of Hasbro mainly. But in a recent interview, Simon Bennett basically talked about how in the past few years he's been working on the show, the writers have kind of been writing in a straitjacket in a way, because Haim Saban specifically, when he came back to the show, put in a bunch of guidelines, like where each episode had to check a bunch of different boxes. And if you subscribe, I'll probably do a video pretty soon talking about what those boxes needed to be checked, what they were, and also why this season will probably be better off without them. So subscribe for that. But anyway, one of the things that he talked about how it's different now is that instead of having like one comedy duo that does all the comedy stuff for the most part, it's going to be spread out amongst the other characters, and also on top of that, they're going to be refraining from using pretty much entirely physical comedy like they've been doing the past few years, and instead go more for doing kind of like banter. Like there'll still be physical comedy, but they'll it'll be more dialogue and character-based comedy. And we get to see that in this episode. I do have to say, though, personally, it wasn't very funny. It could be the direction, it could be the acting, it could be the writing. I'm not quite sure yet, just because, you know, it's only one episode. But we'll see as it goes on, if it gets better or if it stays about the same. Like, I don't think I had more than maybe one or two good laughs in this episode, which is kind of unfortunate. But again, we'll see as it goes on. So, basically, Amelia goes into Dinohenge because for some reason she thinks that these dino statues harbor ghosts or something, which, I mean, I guess it's kind of mysterious, so you could kind of think that, but I don't know. To me at least, dino statues doesn't scream ghosts. But anyway, there she meets Ollie because she catches him in a net that she built to capture ghosts, because I guess she thinks that ghosts can be caught in nets and electrocuted, which I don't think ghosts can, based on traditional lore, but whatever. So they meet Ollie. Ollie doesn't get a bunch of chance to shine in this episode, though I'd say chances are, obviously we're going to see more of that as the series continues, and it is the first episode, so I'm going to cut them some slack on that. But Kai Moya seems to be doing a pretty good job as Ollie. So after that, Void Knight appears, and it turns out underneath Dinohenge is where the Rangers base is at. Can't remember what it's called. It's just kind of a generic Power Rangers name. That's not an insult or anything. Just, you know, it's kind of tropey for Power Rangers to have that, like, you know, the command center, the power chamber. So then we go in there and we meet Solon. I think I'm pronouncing that right. But basically, we find out that Solon is kind of this cybernetic robot guardian thing, which is really cool. I don't know if there's like a Sentai counterpart to that, like Xenowing, or if it's more original like Keeper, which I guess Dino Charge is the season to compare. But either way, I think Solon, who I believe is a girl, I'm pretty sure, it seems like a cool character, though obviously, again, we don't get to know her that much in this episode. So, basically, Void Knight comes in because he senses this big power source, which turns out to be the Sporix, which are kind of the big bads of this season. And it's really interesting because they're basically, each one is kind of a seed, and in the episode they end up getting released into the atmosphere, and they kind of hide themselves around, and spontaneously they'll grow into monsters, which is kind of interesting. They're kind of doing a factionless type thing where it's Void Knight is on his quest to use the Sporix for evil, and the Dino Fury Rangers are there to defeat the Sporix, and the Sporix are just there to cause havoc, I suppose, which is an interesting dynamic that we haven't really had on Power Rangers before. So basically, Amelia and Ollie are stuck in this thing with Void Knight trying to stop him. Meanwhile, Solon is trying to awaken Zaito, the red Dino Fury Ranger. And eventually they do. And then we get like a huge lore drop at the end of the episode. But I'll get to that in a second. So something interesting is, so they get kind of chosen. And I'm sure it'll get elaborated more on in the future as to why they got chosen. But they get chosen to be the blue and pink Dino Fury Rangers. Something interesting is two interesting things here, actually. One is, so a lot of people were complaining that the keys in the toys didn't flip like they do in Ryu Soldier, and personally I was actually holding out because I was like, well, maybe it'll be something like Beast Morphers, where they just kind of slightly change the gimmick for American audiences, and maybe in Dino Fury they won't actually flip. And that's exactly what happened. They don't flip in the show this time around. I guess they were just like, you know what? They had the whole Ranger Key thing in Super Mega Force where they flipped. We don't need to do it a second time around, which I kind of get. But anyway, so we got that. They get chosen, and then something else that's interesting is we get the Henchman, which is a really cool name for the Foot Soldiers, Henchmen, whatever you want to call them. And it's interesting that we actually get an origin for them this time. We don't just get, oh, they're an alien race that we've enslaved to use to fight people. Or, oh, they're a bunch of robots that we built. But apparently they're like kind of robot guardians of the Dino Fury base that basically Solon gives Ollie and Amelia something to kind of unlock them. But then Void Knight uses that key himself in his morpher. And because of that, now they're under his control, which is a really interesting way to kind of explain that, I think. So yeah, now let's talk about lore, because there were a lot of lore drop in this episode in general. And I know it was kind of revealed that we would be hearing a little bit more about the Morphin Grid when we were told about this season and in the trailers and stuff, but I was kind of wondering if it would kind of just be something they brush off in the first episode, or if they will use throughout the entire season and it will be a big part of it. And it seems like it is going to be a big part of it, which is cool. So basically what we learn is that Zaito, the Red Ranger, was a part of some knights that fought in the Knights of Rafcon, which is what they were called, and were given powers by the Morphin Masters to fight in this war long ago. And now all of them died except for Zaito, and now he's been reawakened by Solon, and now the Sporix are free, so they have to become Rangers now. And I think that's a cool plot. And Zaito is an alien too. He has like he can read minds and stuff. He does have like little, I don't know what to call them, kind of antennas of sorts, but lazy antennas, if you know what I mean, on his head. But because we have seen like civilian footage of the actor without that on his head, I assume there'll be some kind of shape-shifting thing where he can kind of disguise himself to just look more human or something like that. But yeah, that's it's some great lore. We get to see some Void Knight stuff. Void Knight is pretty menacing. I think the fact that he did get defeated by the electrifying net did make him, take down a little bit on my list. But, as the series goes on, he'll probably become more and more menacing as we go on. As for Zaito, I think he's really cool. I think there's a lot of potential there. It's great to have like somebody who's not like, this is the first alien ranger we've had in a little while. I guess Brody was kind of an alien ranger in that a lot of his life was outside of Earth, but he was from Earth. And then we had like Xenowing, who was kind of an alien. Well, he was an alien, but he was only kind of a ranger, to be completely honest. And then there was like Orion, who was a great character, but in a bad season. So it feels, even though we've had something similar in past years, it feels like something we haven't had in a while, and I think it's great. So yeah, Destination Dinohenge, great opener. I hope that it maintains this level of quality. Something generally with Power Rangers is that the first episodes always tend to be really great for the most part. Like even like Ninja Steel, I remember watching the first 2 episodes of Ninja Steel and just being like, wow, those are really good. And then, it dropped off in quality. So we'll have to see if it maintains this quality. But I think I do have confidence in the show. I think this is going to be a really great season, just based off the first episode. But again, we'll see. So what did you think of Destination Dinohenge? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Don't forget to subscribe for daily videos on the franchises you love, including that upcoming video about what's to come in this season. And I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.